Son shit, y'all ready?
I hope y'all are. This right here, man. This is one of them bonus joints, right? But I don't know. Spotify. Look, let me tell y'all something. Spotify hit me up. I guess they hit everybody up who does podcasts, and they had a thing where they were doing a survey, and they were like, "What else do you know what I'm saying? What do y'all like about it? What y'all don't like about it? And X, Y, Z. What do y'all use and don't use?" I'm like, all right, cool. I fill it out. One of the things that it hit me was like, yo, I don't think a lot of people listen to me on Spotify. I got, like, when I look up my stuff, it's Google, Pandora, Apple, you know what I'm saying? Alexa, for some reason, like, Alexa has a joint, you know what I'm saying? Stitcher. I got listeners on the, you know what I'm saying, other joints. And then not only that, I also have listeners all across the world. So they're like, I don't know, it felt like they were putting me in a small box, like, you know what I'm saying? Just, how you feel about, you know, I was like, Spotify's cool. Like, Spotify, I think, is like 15% on my thing. Like, my biggest joint is Apple. Then there's Google. Then, oddly enough, there's this Pandora. Then Spotify. Stitcher, Alexa, whatever. That's not even, you know what I'm saying? That's not even the point. What I'm saying is, like, yo, they was kind of just like, yo, how you want us to help you? And I'm just filling out the joint. But it's just dope to see that as much as they're like very their spot orientated, I know for a fact, like, yeah, like on their spot, it's very, I guess, a small base, but everywhere else, I'm doing good. So I guess they were like, yo, we're trying to help you grow. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? It's out there. I don't really put too much stock in it. I post it, put it on, I tweet about it. Oh, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. I X about it. I don't know how you say that. I put the X out. Hey, and, you know, throw a joint on Facebook, and I keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? I got so much other things going on that I rarely take the time to really sit down and try to really promote it. So when I see the listeners and I see that I'm all across the world and I'm good, I'm like, yo, and I'm doing all right this way. I'm all right. I mean, when I get a chance to really have some free time, I'll devote that to it. Because if you actually even go to, I have a WordPress page joint. The WordPress page is ugly. I haven't even taken the time to like redesign that. I'm so busy doing a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, that ain't even the point. I'm out here tripping. This is a bonus episode. We're going to talk about hip hop's growth. We're going to do some time coding stuff and everything. Because there's a couple other things I want to talk about before I even get into that. One of them, this joint that happened last week. It happened, I think, last week or maybe the week before last. It's happened at some point. And basketball heads all over the place lost their collective minds. The great, and that's how you gotta say that, the great Julius Dr. J. Irving. I don't care what y'all talking about, man. Here's the thing. If you are too young to understand how dope Dr. J is, you don't have a conversation on what his opinions are. That's just real. Here's the wild part. Dr. J does a top 10 of all time. LeBron name isn't on it. ESPN loses their mind. Everybody from on the ESPN is like, what? Gilbert Arenas loses his mind. Dudes is out here huffing and puffing about a man's personal list. Like, yo, his list is invalid. I can't hold that. That can't be on it. His first five have been the same five since the 90s. At least from as far as I can attest to. You know what I'm saying? He was in the Slam magazine when they asked him about his best players. Elgin Baylor was his number one player. He was like, yo, Elgin Baylor was the Michael Jordan for me. Elgin Baylor was the Dr. J for me. He was that guy for my generation growing up. He was the guy I wanted to be like. Mike's like, yo, Dr. J was the guy I wanted to be like. LeBron's like, yo, Jordan was the guy I wanted to be like. It starts with Elgin Baylor and it goes to LeBron in that aspect. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, that's his guy. And that's his guy. Like, that's his number one guy. I think he had Jerry West on there, Bill, Will, and I don't even know how many is that. Is that 4? That's 4, right? There was Will, Bill, Jerry, Elgin Baylor, and it was somebody else. I think it might have been Oscar Roberts. I don't know who the other one is. That's not even the point. The point is, he was like, yo, these are the guys who were on my list since I was a kid, since I was a teen. This is it. This is my list. So I'm pretty sure when they asked him who your top 5 is, because that's top 10 is just weird. When they said they probably asked, it was like, oh. So they got to like, how about your top 10? And he was like, yo, all right, cool. If you want me to round this out. So he rounds it out with Michael, Magic, Kareem, Tiny Archibald, and Karl Malone. The internet had a field day. They didn't know what to do. People are wilding out on this dude's list. 3 things I want to say about this man's list that I think should say a lot to not just him, because Tyler the Creator said the same thing. What I'm about to say, Tyler the Creator said similar about these young boys out here who put Biggie and Pac on their greatest of all time list. And like, dude, that holds no weight to you. You didn't grow up listening to these guys. You weren't there to feel that impact. You're doing that just to not get criticized. You can't identify with these dudes. You know what I'm saying? If your peoples weren't playing these dudes hard body, there's no way you can identify. I'm paraphrasing. But what I'm saying is, that's the truth. Like, these young dudes, if you're 20 something, Rakim ain't supposed to be in your list. Nas, Biggie, Jay, they're not going to be on your list. You're putting them on your list because you want to feel authentic. Be real to yourself. So that's that. That's one of the things. As I'm saying that, my man put his heroes in his top 5. His heroes in his top 5. You know what I'm saying? Eminem everybody loved to talk that Eminem line where he was like, it goes Reggie, Jay, Nas, Pac, Big, or something like that. Pac, Big, Dre from Outkast. That's like, he has a nice little list. And when you hear him, he's gonna tell you like, yo, Tretch was my guy. I was influenced by Tretch. You can hear it a little bit. Big Pun, influenced by Cool G Rap. You can hear it a lot of bit. Big Daddy Kane, if you ask Big Daddy Kane who's his favorite MCs, he's going to give you the guys who influenced him, then his peers. Then he'll come back around to the Nas's and the Jay-Z's. Then he'll come back to the J. Cole's or whoever. But the first and foremost are the guys who influenced him. Your heroes. The people who influence you are always going to be on top of your list. I don't understand, like, this whole thing where you're like, let's discredit nostalgia. It's weird. Like, how dare your list not have how these guys ain't gonna be in the top of your list. The one chick on ESPN was with Jay Williams. I don't know her name. She's out here like, I need to look up. Didn't know who Tiny Archibald was. I need to look up his stats. See the stats. I'm like, ooh, he's good. Jay Williams was like, yeah, he's good. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? While LeBron ain't on the list. Here's the second point I want to make. My man, the great Julius Erving, Dr. J, didn't add a name that was from the 90s or the 2000s or the 2010s. The 90s. Matter of fact, if you looked up Tiny Archibald and all of these dudes, they were probably drafted on the back end of the 70s. Magic, back end of the 70s. Tiny Archibald, probably the back end of the 70s and the 60s. These Jordan and Karl Malone were the only 2 dudes that were drafted in the 80s. He had a preference. He had a level. He was like, these are the dudes I admire. These are the dudes I went against. The only person that probably should ever be taken a little back by this would be Larry Bird. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, Karl Malone, because when you read the thing, he goes, and I guess Karl Malone. Karl Malone is like he just randomly, like he probably saw Karl Malone up the street the other day somewhere. Like, yo, what you doing out here? Yeah, okay, cool. I guess Karl Malone. I just saw him the other day. You know what I mean? The real travesty is how you gonna have Magic but not have Larry. How you not gonna have like Isaiah? Like, that's where the tragedy, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where we're at. Like Moses Malone, somebody else from that time frame. I get you on that. You want to put Mike and Karl Malone, and again, they're the only dudes from the 80s. There's nobody from the 90s. There's no Kobe. There's no Shaq. There's no Iverson. technically Duncan is a 90s guy. Kevin Garnett. There's none of these dudes. There's no 2000 dudes. That includes the LeBron James, Dirk, and all. Like, there's none of that. None of that. He's had a point where he just stopped and kept it moving. They're like, he must not watch basketball anymore. And Dude, do we not see him every year at the All-Star game? And let's go back to the third thing. When did we just start arguing, trying to argue you down off of your favorites? And it's funny because I would hear people say that, like, how do you argue about somebody's favorite? How do you debate them about their favorite? You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're going, hey, like, this season, who you think's the top 10? Hey, in this era, who do you think's the top? Like, we're not talking about, like, hey, let's go through the 80s. Who was the best players in each position for the 80s? And then now that becomes a debate. You go, hey, you know what I'm saying? All right, who was the best player in the 90s? Okay, that's a debate. Who's going to be the best player this coming season? Who do you think was the top dude last season? That's debate. You go, what is your personal top 5 or 10? And they give it to you and go, oh, I don't like your list. How can you not have some? It's my list. That's how. And the wild thing is, for me, I think I've heard people say stuff like that seems dumb to try to debate somebody about their personal list, and I would just laugh and be like, yeah, that sounds crazy. And then Tony Yayo and DJ EFN were on the Drink Champs thing, and the thing about Big and Cube as far as storytellers go. And my man Tony Yayo was literally trying to talk EFN down about Ice Cube being better than Big to him. To him, he's like, my preference is Ice Cube. Big is somewhere in that mix, but Ice Cube is on top. He didn't say Slick Rick, he ain't say Scarface, he threw Ice Cube on top. And my man wanted to debate him and talk him down. Like, he was really trying to argue this. And I'm watching this, and it's just like, yo, this had to be cringy while they were recording this. This is the moment right here where you realize dudes will debate about anything. How are you going to tell this man he needs to change his personal preference of great MCs? Like, he's not saying, yo, who's one of the best MCs in the 80s or who's one of the best MCs in that. Like, my man's like, yo, Ice Cube is that guy for me. And you're like, yo, it should be Biggie. That's what these dudes are doing with basketball. They are so obsessed with LeBron James that they're like, nah, how LeBron ain't gonna make that list? Look, in a minute, LeBron ain't gonna make a lot of lists. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a gang of young dudes out here, LeBron ain't even on their mind. They are not even thinking LeBron. Like, LeBron is out of, like, he's not even on their, he's not making their top 10. They're young dudes who they're not even considering LeBron. Then let's take into consideration ESPN. Disney is trying to figure out what to do with Disney first and foremost. Second, they're definitely trying to get rid of ESPN. They're trying to sell that joint off. They're trying to figure out who wants this. And I'm going to tell you now, y'all hearing this now, they're going to sell it. They're going to sell ESPN, and ESPN is going to go the same route TLC went. They're going to go the same route A&E went. They're going to go the same route Discovery went. MTV, VH1. It's going to be something totally different. And the only thing about it that's going to be recognizable is the cable name. That's it. They might go out here and strip that whole thing down. They're going to have Sports Center, probably keep 1 or 2 shows. And if I had to be honest, I'm sorry, the flagship show that is the flagship show as of now, First Take will probably not be it. It probably won't be it because they'll be like, oh, we're not paying this brother this much money. Nah, we're out. This is out. If they sell this, Pat McAfee might get the money guaranteed to him, and then they'll be like, and we're going to let you finish this little joint out. But yeah, dude, after this is done. No matter what, we're moving on. You know what I'm saying? They're going to mess around and make reality shows with former athletes. They're going to do stuff like that. They're going to really turn that into something else, and ESPN is not going to be the same ESPN that it's been for the last 10 to 15 years. That's going to be real. Being real with you. it's going to be different. Whoever they sell that to is going to turn ESPN into something else. They're not going to worry about an NBA deal. They're not going to worry about the NFL deal. All of that's going to fall apart. ABC channel in itself is going to fall apart. ESPN Plus, once they sell it, Disney gonna be like, oh, y'all can take that too. We don't need that either. Oh, we don't want it. Cut that. That's out of that. No longer exists. All of that is going to be gone. It's going to be over with. The game is going to change. And nobody's going to know what to do when that happens. So this whole thing about debating dudes' personal preferences is irrelevant. And watch out. And here's the wild thing. Once you stop seeing that on a regular basis, it's going to be irrelevant through social media. It's going to be irrelevant in the conversation of everything. That's really how that started. Like, the fact that you have somebody telling actually groups of people debating a legend's personal preference, which is basically, from what I'm taking away, is it's a bunch of guys he admired as a child, and then there's a bunch of guys that he competed against. He competed against Kareem, Magic, Michael, Karl Malone, Tiny Archibald. He competed against these dudes. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said if anybody should have took a little shade to it, it should be somebody like a Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. Like, these dudes were right there keeping it just as competitive. Those dudes should be a little like, hold on, I ain't make that list? What? That's how that goes, man. There's no Kobe on that list. There's no Jason Kidd on that list. No Allen Iverson on that list. There's no Shaquille O'Neal on that list. Alonzo Mourning. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody from the 90s on that list. There's nobody from the 2000s on that list. So what makes you think if he didn't put a Shaq and a Kobe or Tim Duncan, how do you think LeBron was gonna make that list? That's all I'm saying, man. We really need to, like, dudes were out here questioning a legend. How are y'all questioning a legend? I mean, this is absurd. Like, how do you not have, dude? Don't nobody care about LeBron like that. I'm sorry. I get it. There must be a thing where I understand he's LeBron is like LeBron to the sports world is Kim Kardashian and Kanye West and Beyonce to the entertainment world. Adele. You throw the name in there, it's gonna get you views. It's gonna have people look. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember there was a time we knew more about what was going on in Kim Kardashian life than we really need to. Like, you know what I mean? Even the people who hated on her, they knew if I just say something negative about it, I'm gonna get them views. I'm gonna get them clicks. I'm gonna get that, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get that energy. Kanye gonna keep me in business. Kanye always doing something. I'll just keep posting it, whether it's positive or negative, how I feel about it, whether it's positive or negative. I'm gonna get that energy. LeBron is that energy. Like, LeBron had nothing to do with that conversation, and they forced him into that. Dr. J gives his top 10. And then it's like, he snubs LeBron. Here's the wild part. If you wouldn't have even put LeBron's name in that headline, one or two things would have happened. Nobody would have either cared about what Dr. J's personal preferences, or basketball fans of Dr. J would have been curious to go, I wonder who Dr. J considers as his top 10. That's it. The curious Dr. J fans, or maybe the basketball purists or whatever, or the inquiring minds or the basketball wannabe guys, would have checked it out. Or it's like, another list, keep it moving. Yeah, there's always Dr. J, whatever, man. And that's it. You throw LeBron's name in it, everybody's gonna look because they're trying to figure out what happened. Oh, did he say something negative about LeBron? Oh, he just left his name off the list, and now y'all give that quick paragraph about who he is, who Dr. J is. Y'all give that quick paragraph about giving excerpts of what happened, and then there's like 5 paragraphs telling you how this is a travesty that LeBron didn't make it. How dare Dr. J slice him? You know what I'm saying? Jason Williams and Shorty Girl on ESPN talk good about Dr. J and the rest of that time he has to be crazy. He has to be out of his mind. Gilbert Arenas, same thing. Like, dudes are out here wilding out. Here's the part. If you don't even say anything about LeBron not being on the list, nobody's even mad at the list. If anything, again, the one person you really gonna have to sit back and do your homework on would be Tiny Archibald if you don't know about him. Like, well, shoot, if Dr. J say he dope, I gotta look this dude up. That was a history teaching moment on behalf of Dr. J for Tiny Archibald that just gets totally pushed to the side and then basically made invalid because y'all want LeBron on the list. This man threw a name out there that nobody mentions really. That's a teachable moment. That's one of the moments where you go, oh snap, well, who is this dude? What? Yo, gotta go peep this dude. Then you see them stats, you go, oh yeah, my man was a problem then. Yo, my man was dope. Okay. Alright, yo, this is a dope little list. You keep it moving. And nobody's gonna go, oh, how dare he didn't. They made that a story. Because they need to push that narrative of LeBron James. Like I said, I can't wait till this era of the game of whatever we got going on when it comes to talking sports is over with. It's a bad look. Now that we got dudes going at legends. Come on, man. Y'all tripping. Now, here's the other thing I really had to talk about, y'all, because Secret Invasions ended, if it wasn't last week, but the week before last, right? One of these Wednesdays was the last episode. Everybody lost their collective minds. Oh man, that joint was garbage. I can't believe it was like this. Yada 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 yada. And every time they say all that, you get the bunch of these people who put their rose-colored glasses on and tell you how great the MCU used to be. They fell off hard. Man, oh man, it used to be so much better back in the day. Let's keep it a buck, y'all. The MCU was kind of garbage. Here's the thing about the MCU that people don't understand. It was fun. That was it. It was fun. Because those serious movies, nobody liked. It was fun. I'm going to tell you how wild, and you don't believe me? Remember Infinity Wars came out. Infinity Wars was so somber and so straight and so serious. And then they were so confused about people who left. They didn't know what happened. Sony was the first one that bit. Like, from one weekend to the next weekend, that Monday and Tuesday, they was like, oh, we're coming up with plots for the next Spider-Man movie to let you know, by the way, he's not gone. He's not gone. There's no. Please be happy. Please be happy about this. Don't be out here tripping. And Marvel did follow suit and start talking about their future plans. Right after them, we're talking about how they're looking to start trying to do stuff with the Disney Plus, and Loki's gonna have a series. Loki just died that same weekend. Like, Loki died that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. By Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, y'all were going, yeah. So now you just, why? Because they had to. That was such a serious movie. People felt good when when Ant-Man 2 came out, because it was like, oh, this is back to the fun stuff and all that. That other movie was just it was a downer. It was so serious. That was the problem. That's when y'all say the Marvel movies back in the day were good. That's what you guys really need. It was fun. It was a lot of jokes. It was a lot of upbeat to it. It had the action, and then there was the fun. The fun and the action. That's what you guys mean. Y'all don't mean that these were actually great movies. And here's the thing. Allow me to indulge. Check this out. Let's take a minute just to look at something. And follow me with this. Because we're going to go through the OG MCU and show you how great it was. You know what I mean? There were 3 Iron Men before, and I'm not going to count Infinity War and Endgame. I'm pushing them to the side for now. I'm just everything within that, or nothing that came after it. That means Black Widow don't count. None of that. All this stuff is in the same little bubble. From Iron Man to Endgame. That's what we're going to talk about. 3 Iron Man movies. Right? One of them is the OG one is the best one, hands down. That's the classic. So right now you got 1 out of 3 movies that are great. There were 3 Thors. Everybody huffed and puffed about the second one being completely garbage. Everybody raved that the third one was the official tissue. Like, the third one was the best thing going. That came out in November. By the time Black Panther came around, everybody was like out to see it on Netflix as many times as they wanted. They were like, oh, never mind, this is highly overrated. So technically, out of 6 movies, there's still just 1 dope movie. Captain America. 3 Captain Americas. One is completely OG dope classic. You can't deny that that is that joint. That's Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is one of the best Marvel movies, hands down. You know what I'm saying? And not just from my perspective, because matter of fact, if you ask me, that's number one. And then we can debate all day. But the Civil War joint is it's mid. The first one, it did good. It was okay. So now, that's like what? 9 movies? 2 of them are dope? 2 dope movies out of 9. You know what I'm saying? Incredible. Like, no. Let's continue with this stuff that actually had part 1s and part 2s. Guardians of the Galaxy. 2 movies. I personally would put both of them in that category. I think most people did. Most people said they were the only ones that actually had, as far as trilogies go, all of their movies were dope. Some people are hating on the third one now. Because why? It was too serious. That third one that came out, that was a serious movie. That was, came out earlier this year. I was in the theaters. People were crying. People were crying at least 3 times in that movie. And I'm not going to spoil it and tell y'all where if y'all haven't seen it. It's on Disney Plus. I'm not getting paid for advertisements. I'm just saying. People are tearing up at 3 different moments of this movie. Great movie. So to me, I figure the trilogy is flawless. But whatever. Still, the first 2 movies, dope. That's 11. So that's 4 out of 11 movies. That's 4, yo. Incredible Hulk. That's 12. That's 4 out of 12. You know what I'm saying? Ant-Man. Both Ant-Mans. That was garbage. That's 4 out of 14. Doctor Strange. That's 4 out of 15. Black Panther. Black Panther is one of those movies that you realize is very overrated. It's okay. But like once you get the blackness out of it, it's just it's a movie. It ain't. You know what I'm saying? What's that? Like 16? 4 out of 16. You know what I'm saying? That's where we are right now. 16. Then you have the 2 Avenger movies. The first Avenger movie, because it's the first one, it just holds a whole different thing to your heart. That's there. That's 5. That's 5 out of 16. The second one didn't live up. The second one should have been what Infinity War was. But so it doesn't live up to the hype. You know what I'm saying? What's that, like 17? 17. There's 5 movies out of 17. I might be miscounting this joint, but y'all see what I'm saying. There's only 5 movies out of all of these. So 3 Iron Men, only 1. 3 Captain Americas, technically only 1. That's 2 out of 6. 3 Thor, none of them. That's 2 out of 9. 2 Guardians of the Galaxy. That makes it, what's that, like 4? That's 4 out of 11. So yeah, 13, 5 out of 13 when you count the Avengers. So that's what, 5 out of 13? Then you got the Hulk, 14, Doctor Strange, 15, Black Panther, 16, right? The 2 Avenger movies, 18. One of them dope, the other one not. So that's 6, I think, right? Are we right? The first Iron Man, Winter Soldier, the 2 Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, 5. 5 out of 18. And again, we're not and Captain America. That's 19. Everybody hated that, supposedly. Right? 5 out of 19. If I'm a quarterback and I throw for 5 out of 19, that's a terrible night. That's not a good night for me. At all. If I'm a wide receiver, that's not a good night. If I'm a running back and I got the ball 19 times and only had 5 yards, they're gonna be like, yo, somebody at home is throwing their beer at the wall going, why y'all still giving him the ball? Stop giving him the ball. Man, oh my God. Y'all gonna be mad at that running back. Basketball player. I took 19 shots and only made 5 of them. Somebody gonna be like, yo, dude, y'all don't sit him down. Why is he playing in the 4th quarter? It wasn't really that great of a time. It really wasn't. 5 great movies out of 19 movies altogether. And again, I'm not counting those two. And here's the thing, Infinity Wars is one of those two movies, so that's 6. People are now debating about Endgame. I don't know. I mean, outside of the epic battle scene, is it really? You know what I mean? So I'm not even gonna put that in the lane with them. So then that's 21. That's 6 out of 21. That don't make it better. So it really didn't, like, the run wasn't that great and epic. You know what I'm saying? This whole go woke, go broke thing sounds less about wokeness. It sounds more like, how dare you guys try to diversify my MCU. Because one thing about, also as we think about that batch of movies, Captain America, Thor, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, and Black Planet, and Black Panther are the only 2 diversity joints. A black dude and a white chick. That's it. And guess what? The other ones that people are screaming up and down are overrated. Oh, they're overrated, man. All those movies have one thing in common with the exception of 2. White male leads. Shang-Chi, Asian. It's okay. I don't know, there's something about it I ain't like. The Eternals. Oh, that was just God. And here's the wild part. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. You take away the last scene where they had to go to the beach or whatever that was about, and you just make it on a thing where they're trying to figure out what's going on. Like, oh snap, why is Shorty always tripping? And then they caught on, and you see the time warp of what they used to do in the past while they were here on Earth and how they would. That was the movie. The rest of that stuff was, that's the movie. You know what I mean? That part of what they used to do and how they had to adapt with the humans, that's the whole movie. The rest of that stuff, But people don't like it. Why? It's way too many females in charge, and there's a gay black dude. Don't act like they ain't talking about the gay black dude. You know what I'm saying? That's where it go. Black Panther 2. Oh man, I ain't really feeling that either. Alright. Cool. Whatever. Ant-Man, his daughter, I can't believe they had his daughter, man. There they go trying to make everybody. It's all them. Alright, cool. Whatever, man. We'll let that ride. Guardians of the Galaxy, that was too sad. There was no extra added pieces for real, with the exception of Adam Warlock. You know what I'm saying? They had a great villain. It was just too serious. Thor, that was just a tobacco. That was a dark story that Disney and Marvel didn't want to tell, so they did what they did. And even Hemsworth is like, yo, I want my next Thor movie to be a lot more serious. We did this fun thing. It ran its course. Let's try to get down and do something serious now. That was cool. This ain't it now. I'm done with that. We gotta find a new way to. It didn't work out. It didn't work out, son. That's it. That was it. Like those movies, you had Shang-Chi, which wasn't bad. It wasn't, it's not the. Oh, and Doctor Strange, which was fan service. It kind of lost its way. It wasn't another one like Thor wasn't as ambitious as it should have been. Like, that's it. Those movies weren't as ambitious as they should have been. They didn't drop the ball. It wasn't like it was garbage. It's just like it didn't push the envelope like it should have. Boom. Ant-Man was just yo. There's no way you're telling me that this dude Kang say he done killed an Avenger. You know what I'm saying? He has all this power to do all this stuff, and he's barely beating a human in a fist fight. Come on, man. Like, I get it. The MCU definitely be out here look like making people not as powerful as they should be. The Hulk has never been as powerful as its first Avengers, when he was like, I'm always angry, and he just tears up joints. That was it. You'll never see the Hulk like that again, ever. You know what I'm saying? Batista's character, I can't think of my man's name at this moment, was supposed to be a beast. Like, it took the third movie for you to really see him really be at least somewhat of a beast. Like, the third movie is probably the most actual, oh snap, my man is official. That's it. Like, come on, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We don't see the God killer gods for real. And then the thing is, it was supposed to be going on for years. You know what I'm saying? Thousands of years, like years. It felt like it happened like 2 months ago in the movies. Nah, not the same, man. Not the same. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. And I get it. You like, these movies aren't that good. Those movies weren't that good either. Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 sucked. Not like really, but they, you know what I'm saying? It just, Iron Man 2, like, I don't even watch Iron Man 2 ever. Iron Man 3, I like it to a degree, but it still didn't really do well. Civil War, Captain America, I don't even think of that as, the first Avenger joint, that was comparable, but people didn't like it. Doctor Strange, I put that up there with Doctor Strange. It was decent. People just, it's alright. It's alright. You know what I'm saying? Captain Marvel, I think them like the shorty more than they don't like the character. I don't get what that is. You know what I mean? But whatever. That's how that goes, I guess. But that's just the whole thing. So now they're hating on everything. They hate the shows, which, by the way, most of the shows are diverse. There really aren't any white people joints. That's the wild part on that joint. You know what I'm saying? There are, like, there's shows, you have WandaVision female, which, by the way, WandaVision is the best out of all of them because I think they've actually put a lot more. They took time to really invest in making WandaVision. Loki, okay, there you go. That's the white person. And people love Loki. Point. So the two characters that everybody already knows were the ones that everybody loved. The new characters is where it started to fall off at. She-Hulk, the Marvel chick, Moon Knight didn't do as well as people thought it was gonna do. The What If was decent. You know what I'm saying? Secret Invasion, why didn't we see Avengers? What's going on with this? Why did the whole game is crazy. The MCU has never really been that great. It was just good movies that felt good, and you were waiting the whole thing was you were always waiting for the next lead into something else. Oh, it's gonna build into this, it's gonna build into that. This whole multiverse thing, they're not as ambitious as we would like them to be, so you hating on it. And that's cool, because for whatever reason, like I said, there's a thing where they're like, all you guys want are some jokes here and there and good action. That's what you guys respond to. Because when it gets too serious and it gets too real, you fall back from it. I tell people all the time, the rat on Endgame hitting the machine, hitting the quantum machine and knocking Lang out is basically the MCU and Disney going, our bad, we'll go back to this goofy stuff that you like. Because that's what happened in that movie. If you remember, that movie keeps in line with Infinity War right up until that moment. Right up until that moment, he knocks on the door and he sees his daughter. From that point on, it gets real jokey throughout the whole movie until the action scene. I'm not lying. It's the truth. They're like, this is what you guys really respond well with. A lot of good action and funny moments. Fun moments. Cool, quirky moments. Look, it's one reason why people are like, I can't believe She-Hulk and Miss Marvel aren't getting that kind of love, because that's what these are. Because it had nothing to do with them. That was just more or less like, how dare these be women and we don't know these characters. I'll forget these characters. You know what I'm saying? That's where that comes from. But whatever, man. It is what it is. I just had to get those two joints off my chest because it was just wow. That's just some crazy stuff, right? Anyway, now what we are here for is hip hop. This is a hip hop episode. I know there's a lot of Marvel talk, there's a lot of basketball talk, but we here for hip hop. This is what we here for. This is hip hop, and how hip hop, to me, grew up too early. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was watching something on PBS and it was talking the Fight the Power documentary. That's what it's called. The Fight the Power documentary. One of the things about it was, like, how did we get here with this vibe right here? It's crazy, right? And they were talking about the politics and all this and the Reagan era, and then they were like, and then hip hop grew up. 1982. The message drops. And what people don't understand is not only did the message drop, but Melly Mel and them made like 3 or 4 more records kind of in the same vein. A lot of other rappers kind of went and followed suit with that. Like, the whole thought that the conscious rap came with in 88 with Public Enemy and Boogie Down Production. No. They tried it at all. They had already tried it already. There was some Back to Africa Mandela thing that the Juice Crew did before, and this is again well before Public Enemy and all that. These dudes were already out here trying it. It just didn't go that well. And the mind was open, a lot more open to it by 88. So it was always peppered and sprinkled in there. But that's the thing. We grew up too fast. If you grew up during that time frame where you had Public Enemy, Boogie Down Production, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Parrish, King's Son, Poor Righteous Teachers, Queen Latifah, Moni Love, you know what I'm saying, the X-Clan, Brand Nubian. If you grew up around that, yeah, you were raised in a different way, because those were the rappers who made you want to go read books. Those were the rappers who made you want to be more involved on a social conscious level. Those were the guys who made you want to really peep out what's going on in the news and how the politics are being played. Those guys kept you aware. So then you grow up and you're that guy. You're those people. Like, that's why there's a whole generational gap of people who are aware and people who are like, ain't got nothing to do with me. Because then that other group, they came up behind all of that when all of that died down, and it just came about partying and hustling, and sex. Partying, hustling, sex, and crime. So that group of people, they're like, yo, I don't care nothing about this. Nah, dude, this affects everything. The game is the game. People, keep your eyes open. Hip-hop grew up too fast. They were teaching you things too fast. All the hip-hop artists that came from that era, that little 86, 87, 88, 89, 90 era, a lot of those dudes are doing great things on a community level. You know what I'm saying? Sadat X of Brand Nubian was a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Not just some dude walking around here doing, like, a teacher at a school. He was a teacher. KRS-One, Chuck D, Ice-T, Ice Cube, Wise Intelligent, YG, YZ, what is his name? YZ. The guy, also another guy who's very conscious, was from New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? These dudes go around and hold lectures that have nothing to do with music. It's life, and they're teaching you things, and they're educating you. Like, the music part is a whole nother. Yeah, they might do a concert too, but when they step on, then unless you're telling them to come talk about hip hop, they're talking about everything else. They're talking about politics. They're talking about religion. They're talking about economics. They're talking about, you know what I'm saying, residential poverty. They're bringing something else to the table. Ice Cube has a professional sports league. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to Kanye. Kanye's out here trying to make clothes. Pharrell's trying to do clothes. This dude is literally in a business where he has to pay other people. Lots of people. Not just the players, the coaches, the refs, the people who organize these teams, the people who manage these teams, the people who drive those buses to get or those planes, and whoever takes care of making sure these guys are at the hotels. Ice Cube's money is that. You know what I'm saying? So when you hear people, like, somebody was like, yeah, Jay-Z's a great businessman. Jay-Z's a great businessman. We are not going to compare what Ice Cube is doing to what Jay-Z is doing. You know what I'm saying? That's what a guy from back then has done. Grown up. He didn't go, yo, I'm going to just take the easy route and just go, ooh, let me do some clothes. Let me do some shoes. He has a professional sports league that he has had. Now he's running around trying to find an outlet to place it on. CBS, I think, is the home for this. And the home seems to have switched up all the time. Like, it's hard to catch up with them games. if you can't go there live. Which, by the way, I'm glad that people go to those games live, because that seems to be the real way that money is coming in. And buying those jerseys and supporting that dude. Support Ice Cube, by the way. That's what I'm saying. That's a different vibe, man. That's a different, like, hip-hop grew up so fast. Queen Latifah was out here dropping gems. Respect me as a woman. Woman's first. UNITY. Who you calling her? UNITY. Chicks are now okay with being sexualized. These women were like, nah, y'all gonna respect me for who I am. Different game. Different lane. Like, then all of a sudden, somewhere in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, it just became what it became. And there was no more growing up. There was no more adult content. And when I say adult content, I'm not saying like the sex and the vulgarity. I'm saying talking about real life stuff. One of the last adult concepts was when you had Jadakiss drop Why. That was a real thing. And people were like, oh snap, Jadakiss on this grown man thing. And here's the wild part. The same way I was just talking about the MCU going, well, we tried to be serious because people were like, man, they're always jokey, and there's always this. Why don't you give us something serious? We ain't saying give us Christopher Nolan, Batman, dark, but at least be a little serious. Okay, here's Infinity War. Ooh, that was too serious. I like Endgame better because it's not as dark as Infinity War. I say that because people don't know. Ludacris had 2 albums where he tried to get on his grown man. They didn't do well. Ludacris had 2 albums where he talked a little serious. He had Common on the record. You know what I'm saying? He was out here talking that talk. There was like on that same album with Common on it, there's a point where he was like, yo, he don't even own his name. Like he was really questioned. Then I think the second album that he had the joint that sound like a Tupac record with Mary J on the hook. That did modest. Then the next album after that, he went back to being good old Luda that we know and love. Why? Because that wasn't selling. You know what I'm saying? MC Lyte said the same thing. MC Lyte did a thing where she was like, yo, y'all wanted me to change. I did. Then y'all weren't buying it. Y'all were like, yo, was that adult content? Like, come on, Lyte, you can't just be battle rapping all day. She started talking about real stuff, more mature stuff. I ain't trying to hear that from Lyte, though. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, everybody's not able to make that. Like, the culture did not make that transition. We grew up too fast. Like, if you grew up when I grew up, you understood what it was to be a black man. Boys in the hood, all that. F the police, all that. We knew what was and what wasn't. Tupac, one of the greatest criticisms of Tupac's first album is also the most identifiable thing about Tupac, and that was Tupac doesn't know if he's Public Enemy or NWA. Tupac was on top of that before every other artist in the game. Tupac's whole catalog has nothing but, hey, I can be gangster on this record, I can party on this record, then I can break something conscious down on this record. I can tell you how much I love you on this record. All on the same album. Tupac's albums all sound like best ofs because he was so diverse. It wasn't one dimensional. He was all over the place on his albums. Like, we grew up too fast. The way we moved back then was just a different thing. The awareness we had was so eye-opening. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what, like, when the Black Lives Movement hit, that's what made a lot of people look around like, hold on, these black kids don't really know the same thing we know growing up. They just gonna okay, cool, let's see how this play out. Then it didn't play out well. And a lot of that is because, one, they didn't want, there was a big thing about it. Like, I don't know how to put it, yo. It just didn't go well. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we lost the movement, because the music didn't ride with us is one of the things. You know what I'm saying? You had artists, like, when they talk to people, artists didn't even want to, ain't got time for that. Ain't got time for that. I got to get this money. Man, ain't worried about that. You know what I'm saying? Tupac, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Snoop, as gangsta as Snoop was, would still tell you about the social ills. Master P will tell you about the social ills. They had people still dropping them. Hey, I'm out here because of this and this and this. Ain't nobody trying to do this and this. Yo, they left us for dead. We out here, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? The game. Oh, the system is rigged, and I'm just trying to get in how I fit in. The game. You know what I'm saying? Now we started to see stuff happen, and these artists didn't pick up the mic, go, yo, punch me in, and speak on it. And speak on it, and then go to the radios and go, yo, play these joints. Then by the time they did it, a lot of radios still wasn't playing them joints. You know what I'm saying? And here's the wild part, as I say this, hip-hop, it was a point. Remember when Imus, Nappy Head Hoes, got canceled? And he blamed it on hip-hop. Well, the rappers talked like this. And all the old guys, all the old heads were like, damn, this is our chance to try to censor hip-hop. People forget, it wasn't the artist. It wasn't the labels. It was the radio stations that said, oh, we're not going to play this stuff. Black radio. Same black radio that had morning shows discussing Imus's comment and bad-mouthing Imus for his comment are now being told, hey, but the songs you guys play say some of the same stuff. Maybe we should just stop playing that kind of. Oh no, we're not doing that though. No. And here's the thing, and I say that. My perfect example is, and I don't want this to ever come off as a diss, because this is not a diss. WAP is a dope song. WAP is a great song. WAP should not be figured out to be censored and watered down for public consumption on the radio. You know what I'm saying? WAP is one of those things where you like, ooh, I'm glad I got a Spotify. Hey, I'm glad I can go to SoundCloud. Hey, I'm glad I got Sirius XM. I'm glad there's internet radio. That's what WAP is. WAP is one of those things where you're like, ooh, I'm glad I can get to this at my leisure. There should not be we're going to try to figure out how we can censor this to death just to get this on the radio. There should not be a radio version of WAP, and yet there was. That's the problem. I remember one time I got suspended from school. I'm at home watching CNN for no other reason than they were like, yo, KRS-One and them are going to be on the CNN show. So I watched and I waited, then the show comes on, and it's KRS-One, somebody from Pete Rock had a group, I&I. It was somebody from I&I, not a gangster rap group. KRS-One, not a gangster rapper, and another dude defending gangster rap. Guys who don't make that music defending that music for no other reason than it's the culture. How dare we will talk bad about each other all day because it's in-house. We are a community. But we're not gonna once it leaks out and now you guys are like, hey, let's bring the. No, we're not gonna have. And I think that was the thing. I think they thought these conscious rappers would be on our side, and they weren't. They were like, no. This is why blah blah blah. They're saying that because this is the system that we live in. Boom, boom, boom. They're the voice of the people that you didn't want to listen to. You know what I'm saying? What other choices do they have but to go out here and do that? The money's low. If they can get a job. That's if they can get a job. There's no good food in their area. There's this, and that, and the third. That conversation was really not good. Like, whatever they thought they were going to get out of those rappers who weren't gangster raps about criticizing gangster rap, it didn't work out. But the thing about that is they took those same gangster rap lyrics and gangster rap movements, and they flipped it and made it social commentary, pointing the finger back at the system. You know what I'm saying? So as much as it was like, wow, these are the wrong guys to pull up for this, these were the right guys to pull up for this. Because those guys took the time to take that and flip it and go, no. Yeah, it is destroying, it is destructive, it is scary to hear this. But let me let you know why it's like this. Boom, boom, boom. Politics. Hip-hop. That's the greatness that's the, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've lost that. Dudes don't have those discussions anymore. There were times you used to be able to turn the TV on and there's Chuck D talking about real life stuff, politics, and everything, what's going on globally. You know what I'm saying? Brother Jay talking about blackness awareness and trying to bring more to the community. Wise Intelligence telling you about what has been going on in the system for decades and how it affects where we at it now. And hey, this is what hip hop has to do. The system. Brothers were actually having these real discussions. You know what I'm saying? And here's the wild part. As funny as it was when it happened, 9/11 happens and they called Ja Rule. Like, Ja Rule, tell us how you feel. They didn't holler at nobody. And I say that because Ja Rule was never one that made that kind of music to be out here. It wasn't like Ja Rule was on the same level as a Tupac. Ja Rule was on the same level as a Rakim, a KRS-One, a Chuck D, a Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't on that same level. He wasn't on that same Scarface. He was the most popular dude at that time, so they grabbed the most popular dude at that time who was also a New Yorker and was like, hey, tell us how you feeling. They lost it. We've stopped making grown folk music. And people go, oh, it's because they got them kids. LL said, I need love. LL's I need love. He's about 17 or 18. The I Need Love song is probably one of the most poetic, profound songs that from a man's perspective of just what he wants. Not in a woman, but a relationship. He doesn't really go through the point of describing the woman. He's describing the relationship. You know what I'm saying? When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall in the back of my mind. I have my conscience call telling me I need a love that's sweet as dove for the simplest in my life. I think I need love. There I was, giggling about the games that I play with mini hearts, but I ain't saying no names. He doesn't describe a woman at all into this thing. He's describing what he is to be a romantic and what he wants out of a relationship. Dudes now, it's mind-blowing. Chicks now are mind-blowing with it. The concept of where we used to be and where we are. And people go, oh, well, these dudes are young, these chicks are young. Nah. And I get it, Jermaine Dupri wrote a lot of Criss Cross stuff. But Criss Cross made some conscious music at one point. There was some joints that was kind of, it was cringeworthy back then, because you're like, what? But you understood, like, these were kids trying to talk about something. They were kids, nonchalant. Gave you 5 o'clock in the morning. Wasn't a grown, I don't think she was 21. You know what I'm saying? Like, MC Lyte talked about her crackhead boyfriend and how he needed to get off the crack, and she was trying to figure out how to help him out. Till she was like, yo, I figure there's no helping you out, I gotta leave you alone. She's 14, 15, 16 at that time. There's no excuse, you can't do that. The mindset of hip-hop is a young person's sport. Like, you outgrow hip-hop. You don't, like, this culture is about to be 50. The average OG is in their mid-60s, early to mid-60s. Now, I do stare at them crazily when I see them dressed like Dipset from the 2000s. I do look at them a little strange on that. They had me lost on that piece. But what I'm saying is, they still have their ear to the pavement. Kool Herc is still going to play that new joint. You know what I'm saying? Chuck Chill Out still going to play that new joint. Jazzy J is still playing that new joint. Red Alert is still going to play that new joint. And then they're going to go, now to get to what y'all really wanted, because this is who I am. Jazzy Jeff is going to play that new joint. Then he's going to go, okay, now to get to that real point of, this is why y'all call me here. I'm about to do that Jazzy Jeff thing. I'm about to do that Grandmaster Flash thing. I'm about to do that Kool Herc thing. I'm about to do that cool DJ Red Alert thing. I'm about to do that Kid Capri thing. I gave y'all all the new flavor. Now it's time to get into this why y'all hired me. Boom. So it's not that these dudes don't know what's popping. The average MC knows what's popping. We still keep our ear to it. Method Man said his kids, he listens to what his kids listen to, and he be like, I don't get that. I get it now because it's a wave. It's not my vibe, but I get it. So it's not that you don't grow out of it. You just evolve with it. But there's still the fact that you're going to grow out of it. You know what I'm saying? We happen to, if you're around my age, slightly younger, we were around when dudes outgrew Migos. We were there when dudes outgrew Soulja Boy. Like that last Soulja Boy album, we're like, nah, this ain't it. You grew up. That last Migos album, you hear it, you're like, this ain't it. this ain't it. You know what that means? You grew up. You grew up. There's that, and that's the thing. There's that point where you go, I grew up. You know what I'm saying? Like the party records are the party records, but the artist didn't grow as you're growing. Now you got kids, now you got a mortgage, now you got family, now you got responsibilities, now you got moves to make. This music ain't telling you that. This music is still telling you go out here and party and BS and act like it ain't no tomorrow. I can't follow you on this. I can't identify with this. You know what I'm saying? Here it is, bam, in your face. This is a dope jam. We'll find what we call dope when you hear me funky. Nah, nope. Here is a true tale about the ones that fail, all the ones that deal. Yeah, you can move if you want to move, but what it proves, this ain't like the groove. The problem is this, we gotta fix it. What? What? You live in a poverty-stricken area where the drugs are booming and you grew up and you're like, I can't have my kids out here, I got to move. And you get that. Me moving fixed my problem. It didn't fix the problem. I just ain't got to see it no more. It don't mean it don't exist. You get what Chuck D talking about as you get older. Like, oh, I get that now. I get it. I get that. Why is that? You must learn KRS-One joints. Your kid come home, especially now when they're trying to discredit black history, whether it's slavery or just black history in general. Those are the, you must learn is the joint. He starts telling you about these people, these black people who did major things in history. It helps. Nature of the Threat, Razzcazz. You listen to that one good time as a kid, you're like, wow. You get older, you're like, what? Because now you know more. You done been hit with so much more knowledge. You're like, yo, wow. And the thing about it is, these are young men. None of these dudes were in their 30s at that point in their careers. Razzcazz was nowhere near, he wasn't knocking on the door of 30 when he gave the world Nature of the Threat. KRS-One wasn't 30 when he gave the world Why Is That and You Must Learn and everything that he's ever said on those first few albums. The P is Free, all of that stuff. Young. That's the part I don't think people understand. Chuck D always admits, yeah, I was like one of the only grown men at that time. You know what I'm saying? That's a Sonic, giving you what they were giving you, brand Nubian, young. Okay? Talking about crackheads, back then, dudes were out here dropping gems and they were young. And they just kept dropping gems as they got older. So as you grew, they were growing and it still kept your ear. There was a time KRS-One was too preachy. Everybody remembers that. It was like, yo, he's just too preachy. Then he fell back and gave y'all what y'all wanted, and then he slid that back in. Because Black Cop is the banger. Whoop, whoop, that's the sound of the police. Every movie's using that for the most part. Every movie about police, when they want to talk about police in some kind of fashion, Ice Cube has used it. A couple other movies have used it. That's the get down. Sound of the police. I think KRS-One might have just been hitting 30 around that time. He might have been knocking on the door of 30 if he wasn't 30 at that time. One of the most classic joints ever about the police. Black cops. Here's what the East and the West have in common. Both have black cops that caused profiling. Hardcore kids in the West got stressed. In the East, we are followed by the same black beast. Haven't you heard? It's the black cops killing black kids in Johannesburg. What's up, black cop? Yo, what's up? You got the authorization to kill the nation. What? I think I butchered a lot of that, but I'm just saying. That's what we were listening to growing up. It's the black kids, it's the black cops killing black kids in Johannesburg when that upheaval was jumping off. And they was out here, wow, this is right before Mandela got out and became, I ain't gonna say right before, this is before Mandela was released and became president. This is what we were listening to. There's a generation of us that are like, yo, I read more books because of this. I learned so much more because of this. Like these new dudes are not putting that joint in. J. Cole had a joint where he was like, he's a little heartbroken. He talked about Malcolm and the kids didn't know him, so now he's heartbroken because the kids don't know him. And the kids don't know him because the one outlet that hits everybody's ear isn't fulfilling that duty. You know what I'm saying? As much as we want to talk about Kanye, people forget Kanye dropped Jesus Walks. It was in churches. People were paying Kanye to come to their church and perform that song, not realizing that's the only song on that album like that. That album is just a regular hip hop album. Like, that's it. It's not a gospel. Like, you can't go, hey, now give us something else. That's it. After Jesus Walks, you're going to roll out and probably catch up with Rhymefest and go, yo, you got anything else, something like Jesus Walks? Or you was like, let me throw this away. Adam and Eve. Oh, I can't believe Solomon did me like this. David. Anything else that's biblical? Nah, dog, it was just that. Have fun. Figure it out. I see you at church all the time now. You know what I'm saying? For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Rhymefest is the actual writer for Jesus Walks. It's on YouTube somewhere. You can pull it up. The Rhymefest version of Jesus Walks. And it's, you know what I'm saying? Like that whole first verse is literally word for word, vibe for vibe, the same joint. Kanye, gangster. But what I'm saying is, then he stopped. Like, he throws stuff here and there, but I'm talking about outright. The music stopped raising us and just went back to going, yo, hit the reset button and cater to the next generation coming up. That's why just this past weekend, LL Cool J had a Rock the Bells festival out there in Queens. Locked it down. Vibe was positive. No violence, no fights, no shootouts. Legends, icons stepped on stage, did their thing. The Roots do a picnic thing out there in Philly. Icons, legends come out and do their thing and hold it down. People do not understand, when you are raised by something, you don't just drift away like that. You come back to it because those were those moments. People still hold Tupac in a certain light because Tupac said so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's three dimensions to Tupac music. There's the people who only know the stuff that comes on the radio. There's the people who only want to listen to all the gangster stuff. And then there's the other group that I like to place myself in, where we take it all and understand the beauty in the eclectic movement. You know what I'm saying? So when you hear these people love Tupac and they spit the hard stuff, and then they'll spit that thought-provoking rhyme, and then they'll spit that party rhyme, those are the people that really understand it. You know what I'm saying? The people who like, all I remember is round and round, and you know what I'm saying, and keep your head up, and all the radio stuff. Yeah, I never bought no Tupac album. I just like stuff that came on the radio. I can't have a conversation with you. Or the guy who's like, all I listen to is that gangster stuff where you hit him up with my favorite joint, and then this other Hail Mary, and then yo, the one time when he said, yo, then he put the that, alright, cool. Yo, what about the joint when he was like writing about his my unborn son joint? What? Nah, I don't listen to that, man. That's a little mean. I need that gangster. Me and you can't have that conversation. Tupac raised the generation too. You know what I'm saying? Tupac raised the generation. And to be honest with you, for all the talk, people love to talk about Tupac was better than Big. People don't understand, Big was knocking on that door. Big was knocking on that door. I'm seeing body after body in the Mayor Giuliani. Ain't trying to see no black man turn to John Gotti. My daughter use a potty. She's older now. Educated street knowledge. I'ma mold her now. Biggie had joints. Try to get my daughter this college plan so she won't need no man. What do you sing? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Dudes was out here saying real stuff. It's just the game. Like, now dudes is just so all like Rick Ross was one of those dudes too. For a hot minute, he threw them bars out there at you. There's no balance in the culture, and nobody's demanding balance in the culture. Like I said, there should not be people scrambling to try to edit WAP to put on the radio. The industry is so crazy right now, and it's so filled with a bunch of fakers and dudes who are just in it for the money and can care less about the culture, the purity of making quality music. We're at a bad place, man. I love the culture. 50 years. And like I said, you're seeing somebody said that these young dudes aren't even pulling shows like these, like these old dudes are. Like these classic icon legends are. Something like the Rock the Bells Festival, that's not happening with when these dudes are touring together, these 20-some-year-olds with the current hit that's popping for the last year or 6 months or so. They're not in the same class. They're not pulling the same kind of audience. It's disposable music. That's gonna be forever. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a strong rhyme for step two. Figured how many week shows you slept through. Time's up. Sorry I kept you. That's not whatever's popping right now isn't comparing to Rakim stepping on the stage and hitting you with that. It's just not the same. That's all I'm saying, yo. The game is the game. I feel like I'm just talking in circles. It's wild. Thank y'all for listening. Who knows how we gonna do this? I don't even know what else we're gonna do. We're just trying these joints out. Like I said, these bonus things, because there's stuff that I don't talk about on the show, or I talk about in the first segment, or there's stuff that just happens. I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna talk about that on this. Let's bring this here for that, and do what we do, man, and just have fun. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for listening across the world, East Coast, West Coast, worldwide. Thank y'all. And how we do it? They say you only live once. That's a lie. You only die once. So anytime that your God allows you to get out here and continue your journey, please show the world the best version of you. Y'all be safe. Peace.
This is a Soul of Art presentation.